The Christmas tree lights cast a warm glow over the living room as my mother stood by the fireplace, wine glass in hand, ready to make an announcement. My sister Rachel sat on the couch with her husband Brad, both looking smug. My brother Connor leaned against the doorway, arms crossed. And I sat in the corner armchair, the one I'd always preferred, waiting. "I've been thinking a lot about family this year," Mom began, her voice taking on that syrupy tone she used when she wanted something. "About what it means to be truly fair and equitable. Here it comes, I thought. This house," Mom continued, gesturing around the spacious Victorian that had been her pride for 30 years, "has been in our family for decades. It's where you all grew up, where we made memories. And I've decided it's time to share it properly." Rachel sat up straighter, her eyes gleaming. Connor pushed off the doorway, suddenly interested. "I'm declaring this house community property," Mom announced. "It belongs to all of us now, equally. We'll all have a say in decisions, we'll all benefit from it together. No more 'this is my house,' it's our house. The family house." Rachel actually squealed. "Mom, that's amazing. I've been telling Brad we needed more space. We could renovate the 3rd floor into a master suite. And I could finally have a proper home office," Connor added. "The west bedroom has perfect light." "Exactly." Mom beamed. "We'll make decisions together as a family. Equal voices, equal shares." I took a sip of my wine and said nothing. "Alex, you're being very quiet," Mom said, turning to me. "Aren't you excited? You'll have ownership stake in this beautiful property." "Will I?" I asked mildly. "Of course. We all will. That's the whole point." Rachel was already on her phone, pulling up Pinterest boards. "I'm thinking we knock down the wall between the dining room and kitchen. Open concept is so much better for entertaining." "We should probably discuss budgets first," Brad said, though he was clearly caught up in Rachel's enthusiasm. "Renovations are expensive." "We'll figure it out together," Mom said. "That's what families do." I set down my wine glass. "Mom, can I ask you something?" "Of course, honey. When did you buy this house?" She frowned at the question. "You know when. Your father and I bought it in 1992, right before you were born." "And when did Dad die?" Her expression softened with remembered grief. 8 years ago." "Why? And what happened to the house then?" "It came to me, obviously. We owned it jointly." "Did you ever look at the deed after Dad died?" Mom's frown deepened. "I didn't need to. The lawyer handled everything. The house was ours, so it became mine." "What does this have to do with?" "Because I'm curious," I interrupted gently, "how you're planning to declare community property on a house you don't actually own." The room went silent. Rachel looked up from her phone. Connor straightened. Mom's face went pale. "What are you talking about?" Mom asked carefully. I reached into my bag and pulled out a large envelope that had arrived via certified mail that afternoon. "This came today. Very timely, actually. My lawyer sent updated property documentation for my records." "Your lawyer?" Rachel's voice was sharp. "Why do you have a lawyer?" "Because I own property," I said simply. "Including this one." "That's ridiculous," Connor scoffed. "This is Mom's house. Actually, it hasn't been for 5 years." I opened the envelope and extracted several documents. "Would you like to see the deed?" Mom's wine glass trembled in her hand. "Alex, what did you do?" "I saved your house," I said quietly. 5 years ago you called me crying. Do you remember? You were 6 months behind on the mortgage. Dad's medical bills had drained your savings. The bank was foreclosing. You were going to lose everything. Mom's face had gone from pale to gray. "You asked me for help," I continued. "You needed 40,000 to stop the foreclosure, plus someone to take over the mortgage payments. You couldn't afford them anymore." "I remember asking for a loan," Mom said weakly. "You didn't ask for a loan. You asked me to buy the house. You said it was the only way to save it, that I should purchase it and you'd pay me rent. Do you remember signing the papers?" I thought those were refinancing documents." "They were purchase documents. I bought the house from you for the amount you owed, paid off your mortgage and let you continue living here. You've been my tenant for 5 years." The silence was deafening. Rachel's phone had slipped from her hand. Connor looked like he'd been punched. Mom simply stared at me, comprehension and horror dawning on her face. "That's not possible," Rachel said desperately. "Mom would have told us." Why would she? It was embarrassing. She'd spent her whole life building this image of stability, and suddenly she was losing the family home. I offered a solution. She took it. How much has she been paying you? Connor demanded. $1,500 a month. That covers my property taxes, insurance, and basic maintenance. Market rent for a house this size would be at least $3,000. So you've been profiting off Mom? I've been subsidizing her housing for 5 years, I corrected sharply. I've put over $90,000 into keeping her in a house she could no longer afford. I didn't have to do that. I could have charged market rate. I could have sold it to someone else. Instead, I let her stay at half price and never mentioned it to anyone. Why didn't you tell us? Rachel asked, her voice breaking. Because Mom asked me not to. She was ashamed. And I respected her privacy. I looked at my mother. Until tonight, when you decided to give away my property without consulting me. Mom sank into a chair, her declaration of community property crumbling around her. I didn't realize. You've been signing rent checks to Riverside Properties LC for 5 years, I said. You never wondered what that meant. I thought it was a management company, Mom whispered. It's my company. I own 12 rental properties in this city. This is one of them. Rachel was scrolling frantically on her phone. There's no way this is legal. You took advantage of her. I have every email, every text message, every phone call documented, I said calmly. Mom contacted me, asked me to purchase the house, agreed to the terms. My lawyer made sure everything was transparent and legal. There was no advantage taking. There was a daughter helping her mother in crisis. Then give it back. Rachel demanded. If you're such a good daughter, just give her the house back. Why? I asked simply. So you can renovate it? So Connor can have a home office? So Mom can declare it community property and let you all make decisions about my investment. It's the family home, Connor protested. It's my property. I've paid the bills for 5 years. I've handled every repair, every maintenance issue, every property tax increase. Where were you when Mom was facing foreclosure? Where was this family solidarity then? Neither of them had an answer. You know what the really sad part is? I said, standing up. I was never going to take this house from Mom. I was happy to let her live here as long as she wanted, at below market rent, as my gift to her. But tonight showed me exactly what this family thinks of my contributions. Alex, please, Mom said, finding her voice. I made a mistake. I forgot. I should have remembered. You didn't forget, I said gently but firmly. You just never thought about it. For 5 years, you've been living in my house, paying minimal rent, and never once acknowledging what I did for you. Never once thanking me for saving your home. And tonight, you tried to give it to your other children without even mentioning my name. We didn't know, Rachel said weakly. You didn't ask. None of you ever ask about my business, my properties, my work. You know I'm in real estate, but you've never toured my buildings, never asked about my investments. Tonight, Rachel, you said you needed more space. Did you know I own a 4-bedroom house 2 miles from here? It's been vacant for 3 months. I could have offered it to you at a family rate. But you never asked what properties I own. Rachel's face crumpled. And Connor, you want a home office? I own a building downtown with office suites. I could have given you a great deal. But you've never once asked about my commercial properties. Connor looked at the floor. You all see me as Alex, the quiet one, the single one, the one without the impressive career or the family. You don't see Alex, the businesswoman, the property owner, the person who built something substantial while you were all focused on your own lives. What do you want? Mom asked quietly. An apology? Recognition? I want you to understand what you tried to give away tonight. I want you to see that I've been supporting this family in ways you never acknowledged. And I want you to stop taking me for granted. I picked up my bag. You can stay here through the end of your lease. It expires in March. After that, we'll discuss new terms. Terms that reflect the actual value of what I'm providing. You're evicting Mom? Rachel gasped. I'm establishing boundaries, I corrected. Mom can continue renting from me if she'd like. But at market rate with a proper lease that she actually reads. No more pretending this is still her house. No more declarations of community property. This is my investment and it will be treated as such. Alex, honey, please. Mom stood up, reaching for me. Don't leave like this. It's Christmas Eve. It is, I agreed. And I just watched my family try to redistribute my assets without consulting me. That's not the Christmas spirit I want to celebrate. I walked to the door then paused. For what it's worth, I didn't want it to be this way. I would have been happy to keep things as they were, helping quietly, supporting from the background. But you forced my hand tonight. You tried to give away something that wasn't yours, and now we all have to face the reality of who actually owns what. The reality? Connor asked bitterly. The reality that I'm not the family charity case. I'm the one who saved the family home. I'm the one with the resources and the business acumen. And I'm done being invisible while you all make plans with my property. I spent Christmas Day in my downtown loft, fielding increasingly desperate calls and texts from my family. Mom apologized repeatedly. Rachel claimed she never would have suggested renovations if she'd known. Connor offered to pay rent for an office space. I responded to none of them immediately. Instead, I reviewed my property portfolio, made calls to my property manager, and drafted a new lease agreement for the family home. Market rate $3,000 per month. Standard terms. No special treatment. On December 26th, I sent the lease to my mother with a simple message. If you'd like to continue living there, these are the new terms. You have until January 15th to decide. If you decline, I'll list the property for rent at market rate. Mom called within an hour. $3,000 a month? Alex, I can't afford that. Then you have options, I said calmly. I own 2 smaller properties that rent for less. A 2-bedroom condo for $1,800. A townhouse for $2,200. Both are nice, both are available. I'll give you the same rate I'd give any tenant. But the family home is my property. You tried to declare it community property and distribute shares to your other children. That ended any informal arrangement we had. This is business now. Can we talk about this? In person? Of course. How about you come to my office? I'll show you my properties, explain my business, and we can discuss your housing options. There was a pause. Your office. Riverside Properties, downtown. I have a suite on the 8th floor. You've never visited, but you're welcome anytime during business hours. Another long silence. Then quietly, I've been a terrible mother, haven't I? You've been a mother who didn't see her daughter clearly, I said. You saw the version you expected. Quiet, unambitious, content to stay in the background. You never looked for the person I actually became. I want to see, Mom said, her voice breaking. I want to understand. Will you show me? Yes, I said. Come to my office Monday at 10. Bring Rachel and Connor if they're interested. I'll give you the full tour. Monday morning, all 3 of them showed up at my office. My assistant showed them in, professional and polished. My corner office had floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, framed property deeds on the walls, architectural models of developments I was invested in. This is your office? Rachel breathed. This is my business, I corrected. I pulled up my portfolio on the large screen. 12 residential properties, 3 commercial buildings, 2 development projects in progress. Total portfolio value, approximately $8.4 million. Connor's jaw dropped. $8 million. Give or take. Real estate values fluctuate. I clicked through images. I started 10 years ago with a duplex purchased with my savings and a small business loan. I lived in one unit, rented the other, and used the income to save for my next purchase. Each property funded the next. I built this slowly, carefully, and deliberately. Why didn't you tell us? Mom asked. I tried. You changed the subject every time. My business wasn't interesting compared to Rachel's wedding plans or Connor's job promotions. After a while, I stopped trying. I showed them the family home in my portfolio. Purchase date, amount paid, maintenance costs, rental income. You've lost money on that property, Rachel observed, looking at the numbers. $93,000 over 5 years, I confirmed. Because I charged Mom well below market rate. That was my choice. My gift. But it was still my property, my investment, my decision. And we tried to take it, Connor said quietly. You tried to redistribute it without knowing it was mine to give. That showed me exactly how this family views my contributions. We spent 2 hours going through my business. I showed them properties, explained investment strategies, detailed my 5-year plan. They listened, really listened for the first time in years. I had no idea, Mom said finally. Alex, I'm so sorry. I've been so blind. You have been, I agreed. But you're seeing now. That's something. The lease you sent, Mom said hesitantly. It's fair, isn't it? That's actual market rate. It is. I'm not punishing you with the price. But I'm also not subsidizing you anymore. That arrangement ended when you tried to give away my property. I understand. Mom took a breath. I can't afford $3,000. Not comfortably. Can I see the 2-bedroom condo? I pulled up photos. It's nice. Updated kitchen, good neighborhood, close to your friends. $1,800 per month. I'll take it, Mom said. If you'll have me as a tenant. Of course. Your family. But you're also a tenant now with all the normal expectations and boundaries. Rachel spoke up. Do you have anything available for us? We really do need more space. I have a 3-bedroom house available in March. $2,500 a month. We'll take it, Brad said immediately. At that price in this market? That's generous. Family rate, I said. But you'll sign a lease, pay on time, and respect that it's my property. Agreed. Agreed, Rachel said. And Alex, I'm sorry. For not seeing you. For not asking about your life. For assuming you were less than you are. Me too, Connor added. I want to know about your business. Actually know about it. Can we do this again? Coffee maybe? You can tell me about the commercial properties. I looked at my family, humbled, finally seeing me clearly. It wasn't the Christmas I'd planned, but it was honest. Coffee sounds good, I said. Let's start there. They moved out of the family home in March. Mom into the condo, Rachel and Brad into the 3-bedroom house. I rented the Victorian to a lovely family who appreciated its history and charm and paid market rate without complaint. Sunday dinners continued, but different now. They asked about my properties. Listened when I talked about investments. Respected the boundaries I'd established. The community property declaration never happened. But something better did, actual community. Built on respect, honesty, and clear understanding of who contributed what. I didn't need them to give me the family home. I already owned it. What I needed was for them to see me. And finally they did. Some families inherit their bonds. Others have to build them from scratch with clear titles and honest foundations. We were building ours now. Fully. Properly. With all the documents in order. And this time, everyone knew exactly who owned what.